like I was with a few of my clients, they went on Dr. D's health insurance.
Oh, it worked.
Yeah, it worked. And I could do like their employers like.
Okay, sir, just be in a couple more, maybe another 30 seconds, and then I'll record, and then we can begin.
Okay. Okay. Afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this regularly scheduled board meeting of GHURA here in the beautiful village of Sinahania in GHURA's main office. It is now 12:04. I will begin with roll call. Vice Chair Sanchez. Thank you very much. Commissioner Delia will not be able to join us. Commissioner Rice.
Present.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Torres.
Present.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Corpus.
Present.
See you online. Thank you very much. And then we have Commissioner Ishizaki. We'll talk more about that later, but Commissioner Ishizaki has expressed his term has been up, and he's been staying on board to assist us. And now that we have Commissioner Torres, we actually have full cadre, so we'll be looking for his replacement. We'll talk more about that at the end, but Commissioner Ishizaki will not be joining us today. Okay, we have a quorum. And so let us move on to item number 2, board meeting public announcements. First printing, which is located in your packet of March 19th. It's correct. And then the second printing on March 24th is also correct and noted. So that is in order. We will move on to item number 3, approval of previous board minutes of March 12th, which is also located in your packets.
Oh, the attendance?
Yeah, sorry, I meant to say.
Oh.
I just have one thing with the minutes.
Sure.
On the section where
Yeah.
5, I guess, section 5.
Okay.
Mr. Bombay indicated the maps of the AMP sites available on sheet. I think that was in response to my question, right?
Yes.
So I just really put that in response to, I don't know,
Okay.
how the,
Yes. We can make that edit. I'm sorry, where's that?
number 5 and right before 6, general study. There's a Mr. Bamba indicated the maps of the AMP site.
Oh, okay.
So it's just in response to my question because it was just a list of, in the table and I was asking.
Okay.
You guys have
Yes.
locations.
On page 10 of 11. Okay.
Nice.
Noted.
And I believe we provided that we sent you that email with the maps, right? You received that?
No, but I went to the website.
Okay. Thought I saw the email and I think it had the link where the maps were provided. Okay. I was CC'd on it, but we'll make sure, we'll resend it.
Okay. So noted. Thank you very much. Of course.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So I believe that there would be, the amendment would be on that same sentence. I would recommend comma in response to inquiry by Commissioner Torres.
Right. After the line Mr. Bombay indicated with the map, so the AMP sites are available on GHURA's website. That was a response to Commissioner Torres.
Yes.
Anything further on the minutes?
Page 4,
Okay,
under item 2, item on 1 is the spacing of value, 11,094, 10,094. And who's for the space there?
page 4 of 11 under discussion, under the first bullet point and number 1, just the spacing on the numerical, I mean, the dollar value. Anything more? Not may I get a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes of March 12th, 2024.
Subject to question. Yeah, correction. Thank you. There's a motion on the floor from Commissioner Torres to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Thank you. We got a second. Any further discussion?
No.
None? Okay. May call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hands. Let me see you. 1, 2, 3. Commissioner Corpus? Good. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
With that, problem with that, motion passes unanimously to approve the minutes subject to corrections. Apologize. Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on to new business. Item number, Roman numeral number 4, item number 1, resolution number FY 2024-011. Resolution approving above step recruitment for program coordinator 2 position, Community Development Division.
Thank you, Chairman. Resolution number FY 2024-011, resolution approving above step recruitment for the Program Coordinator 2 position in the Community Development Division. Whereas under the enabling legislation of the authority, Title 12, subsection 5103 GCA, its Board of Commissioners is empowered to employ officers, technical experts, agents, and employees, permanent and temporary, as it may deem necessary, and shall determine their qualifications, duties, tenure, and compensation. And whereas Title 4 of the Guam Code annotated, quote, the appointing authority or the head of an agency, department, or public corporation listed in 4 GCA, subsection 4105A, may petition the Director of Administration, the Judicial Council, in quotes, as to judicial branch employment, end quote, or and parentheses, or the agency, department, or public corporation's governing board or commission, in parentheses, as to an agency, department, or public corporation listed in 4 GCA, subsection 4105A, and parentheses, for recruitment at a higher step not to exceed step 10 because of documented difficulty or exceptional qualifications. And whereas Mr. Perfecto B. Talada Jr. submitted his request to Executive Management requesting to petition the GHURA Board of Commissioners for an above the minimum step recruitment for the position of Program Coordinator 2 based on exceptional qualifications. And whereas Mr. Taladic's exceptional qualifications for the Program Coordinator 2 position consists of the following: education, 1999 BA in Business Management at the University of Guam. Work skills, number 1, ANZ Guam Bank, Head of Lending Support and Community Reinvestment Act, CRA officer, 2 years. He managed all aspects of lending operations, including loan servicing, consumer collection, escrow, consumer and residential underwriting, ensuring compliance with policies and federal regulations, the FDIC. And 2, ANZ Guam Bank, underwriting manager for 2 years. He developed and administered procedures for efficient evaluation, documentation, and underwriting of consumer portfolio and secondary market loans. He implemented a streamlined loan decision process, ensuring decisions within 48 hours. He revamped procedures to maximize productivity and along with current regulatory and secondary market requirements. 3, Penn Fed Credit Union as mortgage loan officer for 5 years. He conducted competitive research and product knowledge to improve sales penetration. Number 4, with the ANZ Guam Bank, underwriter, senior mortgage loan officer, and loan servicing manager for 8 years. Ensured effective loan accounting functions and accuracy of monthly reporting to secondary markets, in parentheses, FHLMC, FNMA, USDA, VA, and SBA, end parentheses. Performed credit analysis of customer loan applications, ensuring compliance with bank and investor standards. Whereas a review of Mr. Taladok's consumer lending and management experience is directly applicable to the functions of the Program Coordinator 2, which provide the much-needed expertise and regulatory compliance in the Community Development Division's mortgage and lending program. And whereas Mr. Taladok's 17 years of experience in consumer lending, underwriting, management experience, and understanding the FDIC regulations comes at the right time for succession planning purposes, as there are supervisory/administrator level positions in the CD division who are eligible to retire within the next 3 to 5 years. And whereas management is confident that Mr. Taladok will be a great asset in the administration of the consumer lending aspect in the Community Development Division as a Program Coordinator 2. And whereas management believes the compensation package of salary and benefits, in parentheses, i.e. retirement, holidays, annual/sick leave, etc., end parentheses, is competitive with the private sector and respectfully requests an above-step recruitment of Mr. Perfecto B. Taladok Jr. at MG5-7F, $65,200 per annum, $31.51 per hour. And whereas the GHURA board recognizes that it has the discretionary authority to go below or beyond management's recommendations, in parentheses, in example, MG5-2A, $46,200 per annum, $22.21 per hour, through MG5-10F, $77,297 per annum, $37.16 per hour maximum, but supports management's request for the above step recruitment. And whereas funding for this position is available from the community development funds, and be it further resolved that in consideration of the applicant's exceptional knowledge and experience, the GHURA Board of Commissioners grants the above step recruitment for Mr. Perfecto B. Taladok Jr. at MG5-7F, $65,200 per annum and $31.51 per hour. If you have any questions, I believe Ms. Kim is in the boardroom. Yes, she is.
Thank you very much, Madam Director. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Sure,
So-
sure.
So how does that, in the scheme of, like you say, the CD supervisory level, as far as the other personnel in there, right, as far as their step?
Okay, well, Guam law allows us to recruit at the above minimum step based on two things, exceptional qualifications or recruitment difficulty. So even if there was staff, we looked at internal equity, and even if staff had less years and lower pay, we were coming in and being allowed to pursue an above step recruitment based on exceptional qualifications. So that's the way that that can be processed. We do look at internal equity, but this is an opportunity, and that's why it allows us to seek exceptional qualifications aspect of that. And we have an opportunity here. Mr. Toladic is present with us with his manager. I have to say, out of the 20 years, we've been trying to pursue someone with the consumer lending and banking skills. It's been very difficult in the past 20 years. The last person we've tried to, or we've acquired banking skills was in 2005. So that's why it's kind of difficult. And here's an opportunity to provide that expertise of banking and lending to the CD division and the regulatory aspect. So we humbly ask for the board's support. We know that, and we hope that he will stay for us for a long term and he won't be going anywhere. So that's where we come in with the other aspects of HR.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you speak a little bit more to that, right? So I'm not familiar with this position, but it sounds like this PC2 position requires mortgage and lending?
No, what happens in the federally funded programs and most of in CD, Section 8, we use, and RP&E, we use planners and program coordinators. So they're very general positions. And so without really trying to recruit for, like, let's say a banking lender or a bank specialist or mortgage specialist who would just be doing that one component of the job, we have program coordinators that can do multiple things. It's a very general position.
No, I get that. I'm just trying to, because the line here says regulatory compliance in
Yes,
the community development division's mortgage and lending program.
yes. So we
So-
do have a program that provides loans
Okay,
and to eligible families. There are different kind of programs that provides loans. Maybe Joe, you
Thank
can.
you,
Yeah.
Kim, thank you. So we currently are financing in-house as well as partnering with the local lenders. Our portfolio right now consists of about 34 residential mortgages.
okay,
And growing, as well as second mortgages from partnering with the local lenders.
okay.
So yes, the division is responsible for implementing the programs allowed under the Home Investment Partnerships Program, which is specific to home buyer, homeowner rehab, and then we just turn around and design the loans for those programs. Some are
So
deferred,
these
some are
30,
repayment.
34
34 mortgages.
mortgages, what is that so give me context, right? What is that in comparison to either
To the bank.
the totality of what you do or the, I
I
guess
wanna
what I'm
say
trying to
it's
figure
a-
out is like, what kind of piece is that, right? What is,
It's actually one of the primary functions of the division
Okay.
as far as managing the portfolios and closing more loans, but it's more, I want to say at least half of the division responsibility for the implementation of programs allowed under that particular funding that in which we get an annual allocation.
are you noticing that function is increasing in demand?
I'm noticing that it is, but the challenging part is the market, as you know, and also the interest rates. So currently we offer a 3% in-house financing. So
Okay.
we're like the best program so far. But we're in the process of partnering with USD to hopefully get more loans. But yes, I can say it's in demand, but the challenge is the market, the inventory. And just some of the clientele, I guess the eligibility is a challenge as well, but it's definitely in demand.
May I chime in? Sure. One thing that I think is critical, I think that's really key to what CD does, is not only the management of the portfolio, but a lot of times with the funding source, it's the entire design of a program that's implemented or put together. So it's not just the implementation of a program and following HUD rules. A lot of times they'll give general guidelines based on a funding source and say within the eligible guidelines, design a program. And so the experience is going to be really critical if they're going to be leveraging funds from, say, other loans or grants that are available out there. And that's where the experience comes in, not just managing the portfolio, but again, designing programs that can meet the market challenges and interest rates that we're currently at. So the current market is not very favorable, but should the Fed start coming down and should, and the market is in constant flux, and should inventory increase, we just want to be really prepared to have that experience, because again, when it comes to mortgaging and program design, that's definitely a specialty all its own. So as previously stated, it's definitely a benefit to have that type of knowledge within the program planning side. And then the second aspect that was mentioned in the resolution is succession planning. And so although he may be a program coordinator 2 at CD right now, we are a GovGuam, right? So if there's a program coordinator 3 or 4 or division level that opens up in the future, there's an opportunity there. And so a lot of our most successful senior managers have been in different areas of GHURA, and it's been to the benefit of our mission to do that. And so we just want to continue to facilitate that.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you.
If I may, and maybe Kim can chime in on this, because I had like a similar question, right? Program coordinator 1, 2, 3, 4. It's such a general position title, right? And so as we did with the public housing side of things, and changing position titles to be more appropriate to what their functions are, we are also going to, in the future, probably come in front of the board to make changes to position titles in the different divisions that more accurately describe what their roles and responsibilities are, so that when people see program coordinator 2, they're not all equal. It depends on what their roles and responsibilities are in those different divisions. So we are going to be taking a look at that and probably coming to the board in the future to make necessary changes.
Yes, Director Lewis, right? She had tasked me to go and review the different sections, RP&E, CD, A&E for one, and even the Ross program. So we have our hands full in trying to review those particular jobs and sections.
Sorry, I forgot one more thing.
No.
So when we did the pay compensation and we adjusted how we look at pay within the agency to match against national standards. The key thing is that when you put up the position description against the job descriptions and duties to compare the national standard, they don't account for PC1, PC2, or 3. And so what we equated that to is it's a range. So when we look at the salary range for what would be the equivalent of a program coordinator, that would be based on basically skills, experience, accumulated knowledge, and things that they bring to the table within that spectrum. So from comparing to the national side, the higher end, which would be probably more equivalent to what PC4s bring in terms of experience, is about the 70 to 85,000 range. So based on the skill set or experience coming in, it's not out of the realm. So it may be labeled a program coordinator 2, but based on national compensation, you can equate it to the skills that come with it. Yeah. And then we'll reevaluate the position description accordingly. And the key thing is, even if we were to consider a position, let's say it's a new position under CD, it would still be evaluated with the same methodology. So that doesn't necessarily mean that based on the evaluation, although it may get a new position title, it may not equate to a significant pay increase. It's not compounding because it still applies the same pay methodology. So it could be, it's a promotional step if there were to closest to. So Again, the question that we're bringing forth before the board is based on his exceptional qualifications, the request for an above step recruitment.
So when you say that, that it's competitive with the private sector, you did the wage analysis based on the federal national?
So when we did the entire wage compensation plan for the agency back in January,
Right.
it was based against the national, because
Okay.
the thing is, we wanted to try to get away from the Guam, because theirs is very unstable, and it's very hard to predict, and, you know, we can't keep up with the, you know, the lag or the constant,
Right.
the constant out of the nowhere jumps. And so we wanted something that we can provide to the employee that was based, something more stable, which is the national averages.
Okay.
And that sort of answers my question about, you know, that pay equity across the agency.
Yeah, so if we use the national average, it's pay equity based on the position and the job, what they're doing for the job.
And the skills they bring.
Right.
Jen, did you want to say anything to the board?
I just want to, again, thank you for the opportunity of having worked here, you know, with my experience. I'm sure that they can bring a lot on the table. I experienced a lot of things from opening a branch mortgage bank with PenFed as to closing ANZ. So I was there during the closure of ANZ. We did everything, and we made sure that everything was done correctly as well as, so I'm sure that everything I will do here will be done correctly to help all the people that we serve.
I mean, with the name like Perfecto,
That's
we can't expect anything less, right?
Well, we just onboarded a colleague and his last name was Perfecto, so
Must be a good guy.
I was wondering how many Perfectos there were.
That's the,
All right,
that's the second one I know.
yeah,
Mr. Chair, may I add also?
absolutely.
I've known Perfecto, how many years now? Long time, because ANZ is at the law. For my office. I've known him for a very long time. He's very respected amongst his colleagues there. He was the vanguard of the closing up.
Right.
Right. And was responsible for facilitating that entire hiring. So we definitely just work very, yeah.
Well, with an endorsement like that, how could you go wrong?
And Bo is doing it.
Okay. Okay, commissioners, any other questions? Okay, so if not, may I get a motion on the floor?
Chairman, I motion to approve resolution at number FY 2024-011, resolution approving above step recruitment program for the program coordinator 2 position, community development division for Mr. Perfecto D. Talata Jr.
Mr. Chair, I would just add if we could also indicate at what salary.
The amount.
Yes.
With the annual salary of $65,200 or $31.51 per hour.
So noted. So I have a motion on the floor, may I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Rice for the second. Any further discussion on the issue?
Have fun.
Okay,
Thank you.
hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
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 We expect nothing but perfect things. And if not, then
Oh, yeah. don't worry.
we'll hold HR responsible.
How many punts have you lost?
I don't know. I think we maxed it out for the
How
week.
many punts have you allowed? Let me ask HR before we get so comfortable. Congratulations.
Congratulations, thank you. We look forward to you working with us. Right?
Thank you.
And thank you for choosing GHURA.
Thank you.
All right, I know ANZ was,
Okay, thank you for choosing me.
there you go.
Very good.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to item number 2, intent to award. This is RFP GHURA -24-001, Public Housing Physical Needs Assessment and Energy Audit. Madam Director.
Thank you, Chairman. Intent of award, RFP GHURA -24-001, Public Housing Physical Needs Assessment and Energy Audit. RFP submittal for the subject project was held on February 27th, 2024 at 2:00 p.m. A total of 2 bidders registered for the bid and given bid specifications, of which 2 submitted a bid. The evaluation committee evaluated both RFPs based on the qualifying scoring factors listed below. Relative weight of technical evaluation factors. Factor number 1, experience, points 35. Factor number 2, qualifications, points 20. Factor number 3, approach/work plan, points 30. Factor number 4, section 3/MBE, points 15, for total points of 100. The vendor, Dominion Due Diligence Group, garnered total points of 356. The other vendor, Atlas Technical Consultants, garnered total points of 351. Dominion Due Diligence Group, bid cost proposal below. Part A on the physical needs assessment was a total cost of $144,166.50. The energy audit was a total cost of $34,308.50 for a grand total of $178,475. The cost estimate based on reasonable cost was $187,390. Part B, the physical needs assessment cost proposal. Part A, labor. Provide a breakdown for each position and for all positions combined. For the position of reviewer, hourly rate of 225, estimated hours of 64, for a total of $14,400. Position of property needs assessor, hourly rate of 175, estimated hours 536, for a total of $93,800. For total labor costs of $108,200. And my apologies, we do need to put the dollar signs where appropriate under the hourly rate. Okay, under B, direct costs. Direct costs are costs that can be identified specifically with a project and therefore are charged to that project. Cost element for material is $0. Cost element for travel was $13,975. Cost element for miscellaneous expenses is $0. So total direct cost was a total of $13,975. Then Part C, under the P&A cost proposal, were indirect costs, and the cost element for labor was $0. For non-labor, $0. For total direct costs of $0. So the subtotal of all labor, direct and indirect costs was $122,175. Then Part E, general, administrative, and overhead, state the percentage and total cost. For general, it shows a percentage of 2%, administrative, a percentage of 3%, and overhead, a percentage of 3%, so that the total general, administrative, and overhead costs, or GAO, was $9,774. Under F, profit, state the percentage and total cost. The percentage is 10%, so the total general, administrative, and overhead or GAO cost is $12,217.50 for total profit of $12,217.50. So the total Part G P&A cost proposed, total of all the costs is $144,166.50. So then we go to Part C, Energy Audit Cost Proposal. And for A, labor, they're to provide a breakdown for each position and for all positions combined. For the position of Energy Associate at an hourly rate of $125, estimated hours of 175 hours, the total was $21,875. Under the position of Energy Reviewer at an hourly rate of $225, estimated hours of 32 hours, became a total of $7,200. So total labor costs were $29,075. Part B, direct costs are costs that can be identified specifically with a project and therefore are charged to the project. The cost element of materials showed $0. Cost element for travel, $0, and cost element for miscellaneous expenses, $0. So total direct costs are $0. Under indirect costs, labor is $0, non-labor is $0, total direct costs of $0. So the subtotal of all labor, direct and indirect costs for this area is $29,075. For the general administrative and overhead, they were to state the percentage and total cost. Under general, 2%, administrative, 3%, and overhead, 3%, so that the total GAO cost was $2,326. Under F, profit, in this area, state the percentage and total cost. Percentage would be 10%, for a total of $2,907.50. So the total energy audit cost proposed was $34,308.50. So in review of the bid result, Dominion Due Diligence Group provided a responsive and responsible bid. After further clarification, the committee members determined to proceed with the award of a 150-day contract with no option periods and not to exceed the amount of $178,475. The fiscal needs assessment / energy audit, P&A/EA project is listed as one of the projects in the CFP annual statement to be addressed. This project identifies all work GHURA would need to undertake to bring each of its projects up to the applicable modernization and energy conservation standards. HUD requires to project the current modernization and life cycle replacement repair needs of its projects over a 20-year viability period. The P&A/EA will be prepared to conform to the requirement as prescribed in 24 CFR Part 965, HUD Handbook 7485.2, and the last P&A/EA was conducted in 2018. If there are any questions, I believe we have our A&E present to answer them.
So this is just the energy audit, and then from this audit, this is where we take the information and then act on the findings. Is that what it is?
The P&A and energy audit mostly drive the capital fund projects.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's when we're kind of looking long-term on how our public housing units are doing, it's gonna drive the plan for how the cap funds are gonna address whatever.
Contextualizes it.
Correct, correct. which is different from the energy utilization. That's also has to be done with public housing. Yeah, slightly different. They have different purposes. So the energy audit is to part of the capital improvement and modernization. Then what you're going to see on the other one, the energy utility utilization, is more for the subsidy or the subsidy provided to the residents to make sure that we're keeping up with the rates.
Has these audits in the past given us anything significant? But I mean, obviously it's important, but just by way of like big main points or things that we found from these audits? Like, are we finding, for example, that that every year we do this, there's a lot that we need to catch up on, or, you know, direction changes? What are the big?
To my knowledge, not at this time. But I think one of the important things we want to pull out of this and kind of for our long-term strategic planning is really considering the life cycle of these units, right? Some are older than others. But you know, maintenance has been keeping up with what it needs. But at some point, it's going to upend, and the cost of maintenance is going to far exceed either the value or
one of them is going to give.
One of them is going to give. So that's what we're really trying to pin down, is what that life cycle of the unit. So the P&A is going to help with that, because it provides that analytical data, so we can trend and kind of figure out more specifically when we're going to see that tipping point.
So creating our own algorithm, basically.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions?
Do you on top of just quick,
Sure.
do you know how long the auditing took for both of these vendors? Just in general?
The auditing?
Yeah.
I don't have the information on when the last one was. The last one was 2018, but I don't know how long it took them. But I believe we took the same timeline. Yeah, about 150 days.
Okay.
And gave it to them.
Yeah, that's why I was asking. Thank you, because the last one we had was 2018.
Yeah,
So
it's not an annual thing. It's a periodic. Yeah.
150 days. Thank you.
We'll share the findings with the board.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna do this for all the.
All the public housing. Yeah, so 750 units. Okay.
So
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Not a time, that's one pretty. Okay. If there's no other questions, may I get a motion on the floor?
Chair, I motion to approve the intent of award, RFP GHURA -24-001, public housing physical needs assessment and energy audit.
Award.
Second that.
Yeah, let's identify the vendor.
The vendor to, excuse me, energy audit. The physical need assessment, energy audit, excuse me,
Dominion.
to Dominion Due Diligence Group, and
Page 7. Yeah, and then not to.
and not to exceed. Yeah. So, excuse me, the award of 150-day contract with no option periods not to exceed the amount of $178,475.
Okay, thank you very much. So noted. So we have a motion on the floor to approve intent of award RFP GHURA -24-001 for public housing physical needs assessment and energy audit to Dominion Due Diligence Group in the award of 150 days contract with no option periods, not to exceed the amount of $178,475 even. Motion on the floor, may I get a second? Seconded. All right, thank you, Commissioner Torres, for the second. Any further discussion?
The Commissioner Corpus also second that. Original. Okay.
Thank you for that clarification. Commissioner, thank you. Commissioner Corpus second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing seeing none, may I call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye, raise your hand. 1, 2,
Aye.
3. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. For intent to award RFP GHURA-24-009. Thank you very much, Commissioners. Moving on to the intent of award, RFP GHURA-24-002. The other side of this, which is the utility allowance study for public housing. That's the DD's context. So, thank you. Madam Director.
Thank you, Chairman. Intent of award RFP GHURA-24-002 Utility Allowance Study for Public Housing. The RFP submittal for the subject project was held on February 27th, 2024 at 2:00 p.m. A total of 2 bidders registered for the bid and were given bid specifications, of which 2 submitted a bid. The evaluation committee evaluated both RFPs based on the qualifying scoring factors listed below. Scoring criteria, organizational background and overall experience. Points possible was a maximum total of 35 points. Qualifications and experience relevant to the scope of services described in section 2B, scope of work, maximum 25 points. Experience working with public housing agencies, maximum of 10 points. These 2 areas were the total 35 points for the organizational background and overall experience. For overall quality and depth of proposal, maximum total of 30 points. Under quality and organization of proposal, maximum of 15 points. On completeness of proposal with all information provided, a maximum of 15 points for the total of 30 points under that area. For scoring criteria fee schedule, a maximum of total of 15 points. So the overall fee schedule was a maximum of 15 points. For scoring criteria under other pertinent information submitted, there was a maximum total of 20 points, which consisted of minority or women-owned business enterprise state certification for a maximum of 5 points, and veteran-owned business for a maximum of 10 points, making up the total of 20 points. For timeline for implementation, there's a maximum of 5 points, so that the total points possible were 100 points. The Atlas Technical Consultants garnered total points of 211. Based on total cost provided under the RFP not to exceed $25,000, in review of the bid results, Atlas Technical Consultants provided a responsive and responsible bid. After further clarification, the committee members determined to proceed with the award of a 3-year contract with an option to extend for 2 one-year terms. The Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority utility study was last conducted in 2019 with the option to extend for 2 years. However, due to staff turnover and COVID-19 pandemic, the study was not extended. GHURA maintained the 2019 utility allowance schedule into 2020 and 2021 with a HUD waiver. The waiver has since expired, and GHURA must now update its utility allowance schedule by conducting a study. If you have any questions, I believe we have RDD present to answer them.
Yeah, do we have, as in the previous memo, do we have the other consultant? Am I missing it? The name of the other consultant and what points they got?
No, for the RFP was, the most, sorry. Two bidders registered, but I think
Right.
only one submitted, sorry,
Ah.
two submitted the bid, but of that, you evaluate for the most qualified. Based on the point system. However, it was also a small purchase amount too, so we can get the information, it's in the procurement record for the, for their qualifications. I apologize, it's not on the memo.
No, no worries. I'm just saying because for consistency, right? 'Cause
You're right.
The previous one, we put both vendors and the total score.
Correct, yes, we'll make that correction, but it is in the physical procurement record.
Can I ask them, what exactly is the utility allowance?
So the energy audit evaluate and previous, right, so we can compare the two. The energy audit looks at the use and how efficiently the units use energy, right? Whether there could be cost savings, you can implement energy strategies to reduce energy costs. The utility allowance study looks at the rates and looks at the general utilization and finds out what's the common utilization for it. So it could determine how much subsidy or allowance is going to be provided to public housing. So Section 8 does the same thing. So what they'll measure is, okay, you should use X amount of power for cooking, X amount of power for refrigerating your food, X amount of water for your showers, and basically what the subsidy provides is basic necessity, right? Most people are under the impression that it's kind of an endless utilization of utilities because they're on public assistance. That's not the case. What they do is evaluate, okay, what's the bare minimum that's reasonable based on the study, and that's what they subsidize for. Anything over becomes the responsibility of the tenant or resident. The reason we need to keep doing the study is to make sure that the utility fee schedule is in step with current rates, current utilization, and all those factors to make sure they're not unnecessarily paying more than they should be, which is more than what we can subsidize for, right? So if we're subsidizing for the bare minimum, that the threshold for bare minimum is at the appropriate level. Sorry, a bit long-winded.
And this timetable on when we conduct it is based on.
So there's an annual requirement for the utility fee schedule.
Okay.
This is one of the things on the CCMR that HUD dinged us on, because there was the waiver and new contract wasn't in place. And so one of the things we needed to do was make sure we get the energy audit out, but also to make sure we're compliant in the future. Right. So one thing that we adjusted was we put out a 3-year contract with 2 1-year options. So that's worst case scenario. So we can make sure that we're in step every year. We have this utility study.
So you have a tracking on the fluctuation of the market as well.
Well, that's what they're going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
So
the third party does
basically,
that.
correct.
Yes.
So basically what we did was said, hey, you're our utility study provider for the next 3 years.
Right.
Right. And so each year based on the fee schedule, there'd be kind of a set amount that they provided for.
Feedback, all the data.
Yeah, and so they'll provide that every year for the studies that we need. So the RFP was for them to be our utility study provider for the next 3 years. With 2 1-year options. Worst case, if we exercise it.
Right. Okay.
We just want to make sure we can have a new one in place before, so we don't have another gap like we did with during COVID.
Okay.
No,
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions, commissioners? Okay, if not, make it a motion on the floor.
make a motion to approve the intent of award of RFP GHURA -24-002 utility allowance study for public housing.
Okay.
And then what in the amount of to analyst technical consultant.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and in the amount to proceed with the award of a 3-year contract with the option to extend for 2 1-year terms, and then not to exceed 25,000.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Commissioner Torres, for the motion. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair, for the second. Is there any further discussion?
Sorry, just a clarification, Mr. Chairman. Total cost provided under the RFP. Because if we do total costs, that will approve the 25,000 for all 3 years. And under the RFP, there's an annual cost. So it should be a cost not to exceed 25,000, but under the provisions of the RFP.
Got it.
Yeah. That way we won't have to come back to the board to
Okay.
little really in the weeds,
Yeah.
but just want to be
No,
clear.
no worries, right? So just to clarify, right? The motion on the floor was an intent to award RFP GHURA-24-002. Utility allowance study for public housing to Atlas Technical Consultants. Based on a total cost provided under the RFP not to exceed 25,000. With the award of a 3-year contract with an option to extend for 2 1-year terms. Right? Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for that clarification. And then we had a second. And now we are, any further discussion? All right, hearing and seeing none, may call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye, raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 5, Executive Director's Report. Number 1, project update.
Thank you, Chairman. I believe we're going to table the project updates because we do have division updates by MIS and our HR divisions. If time is okay with everybody else, and I was teasing HR that she has a really great slide presentation, but I know she's going to just summarize the information that she's provided to you, and you can look at it at your leisure. But before we go into that, if I may, because this is the last week of March, I did want to mention that I wanted to recognize our accountants, Ms. Frances Danielli, who's our controller, and then our general accounting supervisor, Mr. Jericho Garcia, because this is March 2024 is celebrating Certified Government Financial Manager Month, CGFM. It was created by the Association of Government Accountants on Guam, and it's turning 30 this year. And attainment of this certification demonstrates competency in governmental accounting, auditing, financial reporting, internal controls, and budgeting at the federal, state, and local levels. It's a very respected credential that recognizes the specialized knowledge and experience needed to be an effective government financial manager. So of the number of accountants who have this designation, AGA's Guam chapter has more than 280 members, of which 40 are CGFMs, and 2 of those 40 happen to be our Frances Danielli and Jericho Garcia. So I just wanted to make sure that we recognize them, since this is the month for CGFM. And thank you to them for their contributions to GHURA's mission. Okay, and then we can go to division updates by MIS first. Miss Julie?
Ms. Julie, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Hafaday, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and board members. I haven't met some of you, or 1 or 2 of you, but I am Julie Lujan. I am the MIS Management Information Systems Manager. I apologize, for some reason I have some kind of little frog in my throat, so but before you, I have 2 pages of which I'm going to talk about some of our activities. It's kind of very generalized because I was told to keep it very short. I apologize for page 2. I don't know what happened to my headers there, but hopefully you've had a chance to read through this. And if it's okay, I have 8 items, but Because I have this little sore throat, I'm going to go ahead and just discuss possibly 6 of the items, which are much more the highlights of some of the things that we do as a division. So to start it off, one of the things that I also handle besides our division on a sideline, I guess, would be our informal hearings. I am one of 3 informal hearing or grievance officers for the agency. Our goal there is to provide accurate Section 8 and public housing informal hearings and grievances. I did do at least 9 tenants within Section 8 and public housing, of which a total of 5 were terminated. And then of the applications that we were reviewing, there were at least 2 within Section 8 that were interviews were conducted, of which 1 was denied. When we do keep families within our program, because it's of course our job to be compassionate, but at the same time to be very compliant, and that's quite a balancing act. But when we do try to keep those tenants in our housing program, if possible, we send them over to Renters 101. Say, for example, maybe they had issues with housekeeping or whatnot. So they attend this Renters 101 to kind of update them and inform them what they can do to make sure they stay within the program. We go through quite a variety of cases, anything from maybe lack of rent payment all the way up through alleged murder. So we go through a variety as hearing officers, and Kim knows that as well. The second one I'd like to highlight is our public housing online applications. The goal there is to ensure that we have accessible and user-friendly online applications that are available. This is a web-based application of which we download as needed all the applications for people applying for public housing or for Section 8. Right now, only AMP3 and AMP3 Elderly is open. And of those 3, since October and to the day of this writing, we had over 400, almost 450 applicants. And it actually is now, it has been worldwide. And we are scheduling to do AMP2 to be online with these web-based applications starting April 1st. The great thing about this is to date, we have had pretty much 0 downtime when it comes to these applications. So the public can go ahead and apply. What was interesting, at one time, we did have Section 8, the lottery going on. And I think one of our first lotteries, we had over 6,000 applications within, I think that time was either a week or 2 weeks, but there was no hiccups on that time frame. So it was fantastic. That was amazing. Before, we used to see the line coming out, wrapping around to the mayor's office, coming down to the friary. That's how bad it was when we had manual applications. We had guards out there and canopies and everything. So it's quite a great process now to have it online. It reduces the duplicated effort. It reduces the human error because now we don't take that handwritten application and go back in and rekey everything in. It's all done by the applicant themselves. Okay, so that's one of the great things that's been conducted too.
We don't get accused of losing paperwork,
Yeah.
losing application.
Yeah, absolutely. The next 2 that I'd report on, these are 2 of our bigger challenges that we've had. The time and attendance software replacement, as well as the public housing online rent payment. So when it came to the time and attendance replacement, again, this one is also web-based. And what happened here was our current software, MRI, was no longer supporting the payroll module in the aspect of that it did not provide us with the tax, the tax tables any longer. So they stopped that service, so we had to go out and look for a new timekeeping payroll module. With our conducted research, we were able to award it to ADP software, which amongst our research, we found out that it was in use by Bank of Guam, Docomo, and I believe IP&E amongst other companies here on island. So it wasn't going to be like we were a guinea pig. You know, we didn't want to go through that. trial and error phase. Our other big project was the public housing online rent payment program. This also is web-based. So what happened back in, I think, February, sir, right? It was about
23?
February? Yeah,
Yeah.
we were given a notice that by March, Bank of Guam was no longer going to take tenant payments.
And
No.
for context, how long have they been taking the tenant payments and vouchers?
Oh, heck, since ever since, right? Since
Yeah,
we've
I
been in the
remember that.
program, yeah. So it gave us a very short time frame to get our tenants up to par as far as using this online system. It's quite a big learning curve. There's quite a bit of hesitancy, and it's quite a bit more of, I think, money management needs to be involved here, because just because you made your payment on Monday and your money looked good on Monday doesn't mean when they're clearing the bank on Wednesday that your money is still there, because they went and spent it possibly. So we're going through a bit of money management training still with the AMP managers to get their tenants more up to par on how to handle this. It's great though, because you don't have to, no offense, but you don't have to stand in line at Bank of Guam for up to an hour, sometimes just to go in to make your payment. We don't have to print the coupons anymore with the little MICR codes. We do print the statements for the AMPs to distribute at their leisure if they choose. So it's just to let the tenants know how much they owe at this point in time. But it's an online system and it works great as far as up and running within that short amount of time. So that was another big challenge. And then let's see, let's see what else was on this one. Yeah, that was kind of it. I think one of the last ones, unless there's some more that you would like me to report on though, but I wanted to mention our reporting requirements. We do need to provide support in the reporting requirements for the agency. So there's various reports that we have to get up to HUD. A lot of them deal with either Section 8, public housing, the financial data systems. So all those acronyms are basically something within HUD's system itself. And they have deadlines for almost all of them that we have to meet. But the one I wanted to expand on further was the one regarding open government. I wanted to ensure the board that we try with the best that we can to make sure that we have no issues when it comes to open government reporting. We know that we need to stay transparent. We know that there are people or agencies that might be looking at us. So we just want to make sure that we provide the public with the best information that we can. So this includes our website that we put the board package, the board announcements. This includes our YouTube channel, the live Zoom link, reporting to the Office of the Attorney General as well with the audio. I know that back in, I think, 2021, the AG had put out some training when it comes to open government. And we provided the board at that time, I guess, all the PowerPoint presentation. I also know, I don't know, I think if they're still up and running, but there was that watch group, the Vigilance Committee. I believe that was with Klitsky and Lee Weber, that they were keeping an eye on all these different agencies, right, to make sure if they were compliant. At that time, I believe it was in the news, and there was about 20 agencies that were non-compliant, and we are proud to say that GHURA was not listed. So we look forward to never being listed, but again, as I said, we try our best to make sure that we remain compliant.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
One question I have, right? What are we doing on the side? I know that you put it down as the first element, right, on operations management, but could you just speak to the cybersecurity portion of what we're doing? That's been a hot topic.
Oh yeah, we try our best. We do have hardware. We do have firewalls. Joyce and Bill, they're much more up to speed on these kind of items than myself, but Bill more so. He's our hardware person that deals with a lot of the telecommunications. But We do have hardware firewalls. We do have software. We try to get the best that we can on the software side of the house. Although that's the job of a hacker to try to get around anything and everything, right? So we try our best. We have participated in cybersecurity training. I know FBI was included in that. We are part of, I think it came from Bank of Guam, that they were doing some training, and we get daily updates, multiple updates throughout the day of these are the threats that we see coming into the island. We are very well aware of the attacks that are coming into Guam, and we try our best. Every new employee that comes in, I provide personally the orientation training, things you can or cannot do. That includes to the very minimum of not even turning off your computer at the end of the day. I mean, we go from the biggest to the minors gamut here, you know. We try our best to make sure everyone stays compliant.
Okay.
So,
We also have a closed system.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, our network is
Very
closed.
very tight knit.
It's all hardwired.
Okay.
I think we only do one shoot, right? But that's still a direct line.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And those agencies that we deal with, like, for example, Bank of Guam, we have their audit reports that say that they are compliant when it comes to cybersecurity. That's a mandatory report that we ask of them every year.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you much.
Mhm.
Commissioners, any questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the update.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you.
If
for-
I may, Chairman,
Uh-huh.
I would just really like to commend our MIS section, because in the time that I've been here since 2019, I really haven't experienced any downtime or much downtime, if at all. And I did want to say that they are so vigilant about monitoring all messages that are incoming. They have them quarantined. Sometimes somebody tells me they've sent something and I don't have it yet. So I have to call them up and go, do you have this in quarantine somewhere? So that they really take a good look at all the incoming emails before they're disseminated. So I just want to commend them for the excellent job that they're doing. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, if it's quarantine, it's because it looks suspicious to us. So, yeah, so stop with the suspicious email and we'll be fine.
I do have one question. How many terminals do you have? Computer terminals?
We have how many employees? 123. So we may not have 123 workstations. We may have maybe 80, but every employee now has access, user accounts to the system because of the payroll software. They go in and they look at their leave and earnings balances. They look at their pay stub. That no longer is being printed. So it's all web-based now. So yeah, so 123 people have access into the systems now.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, absolutely. Julie, the two individuals that she mentioned, Bill and Joyce, I've seen them in action. They're definitely in good hands. So
They're hot.
they're hot commodities. So,
Yeah.
That's great.
very, very, very good.
Thank
And I've
you.
also known them for years as well.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
sirs.
the
Thank
update.
you. Thank you, ma'am.
Julie.
Thank you.
Great job.
And moving on to the second one, Ms. Kim.
Good day again. Ms. Audrey, kindly please share the slide, please. Slides. Good day, Commissioners. Thank you again for allowing me to report on our HR division. You've seen me every so often come before the board. So I like to hope together today, pull everything together for you. And in the interest of time, like Director said, I have a whole 30-page PowerPoint, but you can read it at your leisurely time. But for the best interest of the time today, I'm just going to go through slides 1 through 6, and then I'm going to recap with the remaining 28, 29, and 30. So Audrey, next slide, please. For GHURA Human Resources, we come with a 3-man team. I lost my personal specialist 3 in 2022 to a retirement. And we've had some short-term hires last year, but with the 22% the government had passed, I lost them back to the line agency and to UOG. But I thank the board for their commitment and Ms. Liz and Deputy Director Steves for pushing that through in January. So I was able to get some good candidates this time around. I think it's very competitive. I had to conflict out because I kind of know several of the candidates. And so it's right now being rated at the Department of Administration.
Okay.
So what's helping me get along is I have the assistance thanks to Sonny Perez. He's allowed Miss Cherry, the PC2, to help me on Fridays.
Okay.
And I am mentoring a UOG intern, Carlo Onkla. He's going to be graduating this May, so I'm very proud of what the university is pumping out this go around. So he looks very promising, and I thank both of them for helping me through my short one-man band time period. So thank you, Cherry and Carlo. So next slide, please. So under the profession, like Dr. John knows, I operate under the framework of the Society of Human Resources Code of Ethical and Professional Standards. It's important to me in this profession that we operate under fairness, justice, truthfulness, social responsibility. And I think that earning the respect of individuals and increasing my own credibility is helpful to the staff and the agency as a whole. So ethics, that code of ethics and that oath is very important. And that's the framework that I operate my office under. Okay, so just some background where the HR division was prior. Next slide, sorry. Thank you, Audrey. So prior to coming on board in 2002, that's like 22 years ago, if my math is right. The HR office, it was pretty much non-existent. There were no staffing and position control. There were no number of GG1s. There was just no control of the personal actions that were cut, interviews, drug testing, personal jacket entries. And this is important in terms of auditing, accountability, and transparency. So I have to say we've come a long way offering the full range of services, the full gamut of HR services. And I try to meet those with a high standard of competencies, which, you know, is very important in my field. So next slide. Thank you, Audrey. So where we've been from that time and offering the full gamut of services, this is the HR model. As you can see, our HR mission is center, and it's the core to provide the most efficient, providing value added to both the employee and my employer, GHURA. So as you can see, I manage the daily operations. Employee performance is anchored on the bottom. The top is driven by strategy. And of course, last but not least is the compliance part to ensure we're in compliance with both federal, local, and all regulations. Next, thank you, Audrey. So my next reporting for the future will focus on the HR activities. So in a nutshell, there's like 8 areas. Position staffing and recruitment. That's your position control, where we identify our organizational needs and our attempts to get that best talent possible. So I refer to myself as a headhunter. I'm always trying to get the best talent. I'm always looking. And number 2, the recruitment. We've been heavy on recruitment. Yes, we have high turnover in certain areas. And so we're trying to manage that process with training, mentoring, coaching, and the like. And so additionally, I want to say under recruitment, you've seen me come before you for the above step recruitment aspect. So that's one item there. With respect to records management, that's where we plan, coordinate, process all the activities, and I take great care in that function is because the integrity of the file is very important. It's ready to be audited at any time for inspection. Okay, moving along to classification and compensation. Another example, we came to the board last July. We came to you with the study of the public housing new creation of positions. as well as the Section 8 Housing Inspector Supervisor and the Housing Procurement Administrator. So that's just one example of that classification function and coming before the board. The other item under that was, of course, the compensation plan. Again, I thank Director Liz, Deputy Esteves for taking on the legacy of the late director, because he was really the one that went back in 2011 and said, we need to break away. This is what I wanted. And since then, we've just built upon it. And I thank the two leadership now for continuing on with that. And then number 3 under this category that I've come to the board with is our executive directors, the executive team, the performance evaluations. So we're kind of due upcoming again, the annual will be coming fast around the corner in June. They're due in August. So just heads up on that. Section 5 of the activities are benefits. This is an annual thing where we manage the group health, which is the medical and dental benefits, as well as the group life. We just had open enrollment for the group life last month. The open enrollments are annual and tied in with the Department of Administration, which are in September, which takes effect October 1. Employee management relations, this is a big one. This is one of the elements that, man, we try to focus on building a strong and a good workplace for the staff. And I have to say, this section focuses on grievances, adverse actions. But if we don't have to go that far, when we resolve things through conflict resolution, it just makes the workplace a better place to be. And I thank Director Liz and Deputy Esteves for wanting to have that step first. And I really think you resolve conflicts right at the top. It just really, there's no need for a grievance. There's no need for an adverse action and the like. Our drug-free workplace program falls under this function. This is something the board passed in the 90s, late 90s, and we've continued. We do monitoring for pre-employment, random, post-accident, reasonable suspicion, the full gamut of drug testing. And I have to say, the program does work, so let's see. On training and development, although it's ranked lower, it's not. As you can see, it's number 7, but it's a key important part. Training, not just training to help them get the better skills, but to also develop the staff for future potential, right? Our skills bank, that's very important. The development aspect. And then finally, the 8th section is our risk management. We came to the board last board meeting with our workers' comp policy, and where HR really tries to minimize any kind of loss, whether it be internal fraud, external fraud, any kind of loss to the agency or liability to the agency. And that includes workers' compensation. I'm still trying to see if we can get a lower rate of procurement to just work smarter and just trying to educate the employees on how to be safe on the workplace. Okay, that will help with our premiums, because it's kind of skyrocketed the past few years. Okay, and then Ms. Audrey, I guess we can, as I promised, go to page 28 and 29. We'll start with page 28. The slides in between were just very detailed to show there's a lot of work from A to Z. So at your reading, leisurely time. Okay, so in summary, let's tie it all together. It's all tied to our goals and objectives. Oops, 2 more back. 28. There we go. So everything that we do is tied to these goals and objectives. And of course, we want a certified workforce. We are due for an updated technical training. So we hope to come before the board when we do our procurement later this summer. But the focus is on, of course, our public housing maintenance, our Section 8 staff, public housing, the admin staff, the tenant relations advisors on their training and certification. A lot of things change as soon as you know, you think you know the federal regulations, it's updated again. So it's time for training. So that will be hopefully coming to you soon. The second goal is we always want an educated workforce. We have an apprenticeship program that we've continued from the late director Tapasnia. In 2012, he asked me to put together an apprenticeship program. So I partnered with the the local Department of Labor and the GCC folks. So we're on cohort number 4. We got the email this morning for GCC approving cohort 4. We got 3 graduates that will participate in commencement on May 17th. So we're very proud of the staff working, going to school at night, making that sacrifice to make themselves better for the agency. And so we also have staff that pursue advanced degrees. And so I know I would like to hopefully see, and we're trying to see if we can work with our controller, Fran, if you're listening, to like see if we can have like tuition reimbursement programs where they can do their master's degree that will benefit housing and just things like that. Fran, if you're listening. So those are objectives that we kind of want to ensure that our staff can avail of. I mean, I'm always learning. What, I'm 20-some years here and I'm still learning. Learning never ends. Okay. With respect to our enhanced employee relationships, that was key. That is Miss Liz's strength and of course Mr. Esteves too. But through a good workplace, an open door policy that these two espouse and live by, we have a good workplace balance here. And the program that will help them as well is the governor kicked off last week, the worksite wellness, after we stopped it in COVID. So we were pretty active. We were the first to kick off the health screening here. But with the governor kicking off her program, I'm sure we're gonna restore that. Our employees need to find that balance to step away, exercise is medicine. Good sleep, good rest, training, and all that will make us be more productive at the office, I think, and be more happier to come to work. Okay, let's see what else. And then on the last page, our other goal, of course, is the training supervisors, managers, staff. We've restarted our efforts for training basic supervisory. We had new staff promote up. We've had staff retire, so it's time to go back to building that foundation again. So with the help of the executive management team, we have a course, the basic supervisory course on May 2nd and 3rd of May by the University of Guam's continuing ed program.
Who's
The
a
16-day
certified
course.
trainer for AMA.
Yes.
That's why.
So it's a 16-hour course. We included, which ties in with our building blocks for succession plan. We have that other group that we want to start developing into. So we have an opportunity to provide training for 30 staff. Okay, we're going to build on that and step up our professional developments there. Okay, but yeah, succession planning never ends. It's always a continuous thing, and it's very important so that there's continuity when we hang up our cleats and say it's time to move on. We can rest assured that we leave our divisions in good hands and the agency is in good hands. So that's all I have for today. I'm sure I'll see you next board meeting on the other stuff. Hopefully not, but we'll see. Thank you for your support and with everything for the staff.
Of course.
I know the employees are, and that's what's important.
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
Sure,
I'm so
absolutely.
sorry, but every opportunity I have, I really want to recognize staff who've been persevering, and Ms. Kim is definitely one of those who has persevered the last several years as a Lone Ranger operation up there. And as you can see with all the activities that fall under HR, that's been a lot for one person to handle. And thank goodness for the help of some of our other staff who, actually are getting cross-trained too. But really, we need to thank her for her perseverance and not bringing that R word up with us, even though she can. So thank you, Ms. Kim, for all that you do. And hopefully you'll get your help, in the near future. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Director Liz. I have to say, it's by God's grace and hand that he gives me strength. So
Well, thank you.
I thank
Yeah,
the
for
Lord
sure.
for that.
Thank you to all of the staff, and I'm happy to hear that the efforts on the wage part, right, that we
Mm,
implemented is making a dent
Yes.
in recruitment efforts. So
yeah.
it's great to hear.
Closing the gap.
Yeah,
Closing the
we'll
gap.
get there. Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item number 6, general discussion and announcements. On the agenda is the next proposed scheduled board meeting of Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 at 12 p.m. Please mark your calendars. We will confirm that. The only other couple things that I have, or Madam Director, would you like to go first?
I think the only other thing is that, maybe at our next board meeting, we will work on a resolution, thanking Commissioner Ishizaki for his service as a board member with us. So we will get that ready and run it by the Board of Commissioners. So that was really the only other thing I wanted to include.
Right. And thank you for that, right? And as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, Commissioner Suzuki has expressed his desire to step down and leave the room for somebody new to come in and take his place as a commissioner. We're hoping to get back up to a full board, right? I think it's just been in the recent past that we've had a full board, and we'll get back up there again. So if there's any recommendations or any folks, please let the DD or the director know. And so as we start to look for a potential candidate to replace Commissioner Suzuki. And of course, right, thank you for putting that resolution together, and we'll celebrate him when we get that. Other than that, I'm looking at the room here, and there's these big letters of the room. Madam Director, I don't know if you've seen it, but it said, Viva cumpleaños, si Miss Liz. Right? Miss Liz.
OMG, they forgot to take that down. Darn.
Well, now everybody knows that it's your birthday, so happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
We celebrated, and if
Yeah.
not, then let us know, and we'll make sure that we celebrate. So everybody listening, and to anybody who's on the future recordings, it's Miss Liz's birthday sometime the recent past, right? So please make sure that you wish her a happy birthday, even if you did already. You have my permission to go and call her again. We'll see who's listening.
And thank goodness that Commissioner Torres and I are entering that new decade. So I'm not alone.
Right?
Down to November.
Okay. Is there any other announcements? Okay, hearing and seeing none, may call for a motion to adjourn. Anybody?
I
Motion?
can make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, did I get a second? All right, thank you very much. Motion's been seconded. I don't hear any objections. We call this meeting at 1:37 p.m. Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Great job.
Hope you feel better.
Bye.